So Avengers Disassembled comes about because, like the Justice League before it, the Avengers had become stale and lame, and no one gave a shit. Now, they tried to start to fix things by putting Captain America on the team, Iron Man's on the team, but you have to remember, when this came out, Iron Man was not an awesome character.
Iron Man? Who the fuck cares about him? He's just wearing a suit. He doesn't have, actual powers.
He doesn't have any powers.
No, he's just a dude.
Batman doesn't have powers.
Right, but why is he so cool?
Awesome.
But Batman is also,
Batman's not a drunk.
We got Yellow Jacket, a.k.a. Goliath, a.k.a. Giant Man, a.k.a. Ant-Man. That's this guy. Hank Pym. You got Scarlet Witch, you got Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Captain Britain. For continuity's sake, I'll let you know, Iron Man at this point is the Secretary of Defense. And everybody knows that Tony Stark's Iron Man, and the Avengers operated out of Avengers Mansion. So they're hanging out, they're actually talking about who'd you rather, and a former Avenger who had just died named Jack of Hearts, zombified corpse shambles up to the mansion. Now, Jack of Hearts died saving Ant-Man's daughter. Now, not Ant-Man we were just talking about, the other Ant-Man. There's two Ant-Mans. There's one Ant-Man that's Hank Pym. He invented Pym particles. He can get himself small and big.
Right,
and he can
the real
ants.
Ant-Man.
That's the real Ant-Man. He can also make himself big and call himself Giant Man. At this point, he's Yellow Jacket.
Okay.
Ant-Man, Scott Lang, is just a regular dude who has a helmet and he can, talk to ants. I think he can also shrink, but it doesn't matter. So Ant-Man's daughter is rescued by Jack of Hearts, but in the process, Jack of Hearts dies. Jack of Hearts shows up at the mansion door, zombified and gross. Scott Lang, a.k.a. Ant-Man, runs over to him and he's like, I saw you die, what happened? And then he says, I'm sorry, and explodes, blows up the mansion, and kills Scott Lang.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
And right at that moment, Tony Stark is giving a speech at the UN, and he suddenly becomes completely shit-faced. And everyone believes that he must have drank a whole bunch before having this speech, and then just lost it. And he's like, I didn't have anything to drink. I was drunk, but yeah. And they're like, maybe you had a blackout. And he's like, no! I put that shit behind me a long time ago. And they're like, yeah, but
you fell off the wagon.
The government immediately fires him from being Secretary of Defense.
Wait, did he drink?
Well, we'll get there. And this is when Vision shows up. Now, Vision is an android, but he was a sentient android, like Data. He was created by an android called Ultron. Ultron was created by Hank Pym, a.k.a. Yellow Jacket, who is still alive.
Right.
Ultron created Vision as his vision of what humanity will look like when he gets through with it. And then Vision ultimately goes against its programming and saves the Avengers and becomes one. So Vision shows up, and he's like, hey everybody, I got the code white alert that Avengers Mansion's under attack. Someone reprogrammed Vision so that once the code white alert was announced, Vision would launch Ultron robots out of his body and then self-destruct. Incidentally, I should mention, when Vision shows up, he was flying a Quinjet, and he flew the Quinjet into the mansion. And then the Avengers, who are now in the midst of a explosion and the death of two comrades, have to fight these Ultrons. Now, Ultron is one hard-ass robot motherfucker. It's basically like the Terminator if it also had an adamantium hull and ran on a nuclear battery. At the same time, She-Hulk, who is Bruce Banner's cousin, who needed a blood transfusion or else she would die, Bruce Banner gives her his blood, she hulks out, but because it's a blood transfusion, instead of being a bombardment of gamma rays, she can hulk out and then maintain her sanity. So she's just...
She doesn't become like an animal.
No, she's just super strong and hot. Okay. So anyway, She-Hulk inexplicably loses her shit. And she hulks out even more, she gets bigger, and she loses more of her consciousness, and then she picks up the deactivated body of Vision and rips it in half. So now Vision's off the table. In the ensuing explosion, the Wasp, who it was Yellow Jacket's wife, and a founding member of the Avengers, was caught in the explosion, and she's unconscious.
Oh.
Yellow Jacket, who is still in love with her, picks her up, takes her to the hospital, pieces out of the fight. He's like, Janet's hurt, I gotta go. So he takes her to the hospital and then stays with her for the rest of the fight.
While they're still fighting Ultrons.
Then Captain America shows up, and Iron Man show up, and they help save the day. They quell the robot problem, and all the superheroes in the surrounding areas show up, because they're like, we heard that some major heavy shit happened.
Right.
Nick Fury shows up, S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, and they're like, this is a crime scene, we have to investigate it, everyone get the fuck out of here. And right at that moment, the Kree invade. Now, the Kree are an alien race that are at war with the Skrulls. The Kree are kind of like, the pyramids were built by aliens.
Okay.
But suddenly the Kree have attacked.
Okay.
And they're laying siege to Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
All of this is not a coincidence.
Right, someone set this up.
Someone set up the worst day in Avengers history and sought to take the Avengers off the playing field.
And it's the Kree?
No, the Kree are just
Kree are just
pawns.
there,
The Kree appear. Hawkeye shows up, and he's got his explosive arrows and shit, and he's laying siege to some Kree, but then his backpack full of arrows catches fire. And he knows he can't get it off in time. So he grabs a Kree, he launches its jetpack, and he and the Kree launch into a Kree ship and blow the fuck up. Hawkeye's dead, off the table.
What? What? He can't get him off his back?
It actually spawned the famous "not like this" quote. When he notices that the backpack's on fire, he goes, "Not like this! Not like this!" And then he grabs the Kree and goes, "Like this! Yeah!" And then blows the fuck up. Because he's super badass and cool.
Right.
So Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, "You fucked up everything!" I showed up because there's all this magic shit going on.
Yeah, what
and
are
they're
you
like,
doing?
"What magic person is in charge?" And they're like, "Oh shit, the Scarlet Witch." Because the Scarlet Witch is a mutant who was born with the mutant ability to manipulate magic.
Right.
And they realize that Scarlet Witch is the reason why everything's going on. Scarlet Witch is the
I
brother...
thought she was an Avenger.
She is an Avenger.
Isn't she here?
She's here. Now, here's what happened. Scarlet Witch, sister of Quicksilver.
Right.
Daughter of Magneto.
Magneto, yes. They used to be part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants created by Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
The Avengers brought them in, and they became Avengers. Scarlet Witch married the Vision,
Okay.
and they had 2 children.
Wait, how does a
How does a robot have children with a human person? She magicked them into existence. And what happened was they realized after a while that, these aren't real people. They're not even anything. They're just
Right.
magic. You willed them into existence because you want to be a mother so badly.
Okay.
So they unmagicked them into nothing.
Who did?
Agatha Harkness, who's a magic woman, she actually helped mentor Scarlet Witch and helped her develop her magic control. And she, along with a few other people, helped put that genie back in the bottle. And they kind of mind-wiped her so she wouldn't remember that she had them. Then they show a flashback. Poolside, Wasp and Scarlet Witch are hanging out, and Wasp's talking about how she missed her period. And she really hopes that she's not pregnant because superheroes shouldn't have kids. And she accidentally says, "And you thought you could have 2?" And Scarlet Witch is like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Oh, I gotta go." So she leaves, and Scarlet Witch is like, "Agatha, why do people think I have 2 children?" And she's like, and then she kills Agatha and leaves her body decomposing in a chair.
What?
And then seeks out to bring her children back from nothing. And when Scarlet Witch realizes that she had children, her mind kind of just goes. So she's not really thinking clearly, and she just knows that the Avengers are going to try and stop her from having these children.
Yeah.
So she...
Because they're such goody two-shoes.
Yeah.
About reality.
Even though they're her best friends and they saved her from a life of, terrorism from her father, she betrays them and kills 4 of them.
Right.
She also publicly humiliates Tony Stark by putting alcohol in his system, by changing reality. Because she has reality-altering magic powers.
Right.
And she has control over what they call chaos magic. Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, there's no such thing as chaos magic. There's just being chaotic with magic. That's what she is. That's not a superpower. That's being irresponsible with magic. I earned my magic by having years of study and sacrifice, and you have a mutant ability that just lets you have magic? That's bullshit, because you don't know how it works.
Right.
And you don't know the cost and the price of magic, or how to use it properly. And so she conjures more shit to help fight the Avengers. Ultimately, Doctor Strange puts the magic whammy on her and knocks her right the fuck out. And Magneto shows up and he's like, "I fucked up. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm going to take my kid and I'm going to go."
What? No!
Yeah, and they're like, "No," and he's like, "Stop me." And then he leaves. Because he's Magneto. And he's like,
Well,
Captain America, that's a nice shield. Kill with shield. Oh, Iron Man, you're in a big metal suit. Crush with suit. Anybody else have metal on them? Oh, everyone? Oh, and there's a helicarrier in the sky? Crush everyone with helicarrier. He's, super powerful. So he's like, "I'm going to take my kid and go." And also, they're kind of like, "What are we going to do with her? Oh, Magneto's here to take her. Sweet."
They kill all the Kree?
Did those
Or did the
Kree
Kree go
die?
away?
Or did they just disappear? We don't know.
Well, what happened? Can't
They
she just
stopped
bring them back
attacking,
then, too? Everyone that died, just you're fine.
That's what
Yeah.
they say to Doctor Strange, and he says that's not how magic works.
Fuck you, Doctor Strange. She has the ability to snap her
The funny
fingers.
thing is, that's exactly how magic works, because it's exactly how Hawkeye comes back to life.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't
It
matter.
would have to be.
Yeah.
Because he blew up in a ship.
He blew up in a ship that didn't exist. So where did he go?
But she could still mess with reality.
Well,
like, what's he going to do? She's
well,
magic.
here's the thing. At this point in X-Men continuity, Charles Xavier quits the X-Men, Magneto quits being a dick. The two of them become close friends again, and they peace out to a place called Genosha. Genosha was an island sovereign country for mutants, and somebody blew it up and killed everyone there. So all the millions of mutants that lived there were annihilated in this one genocidal act. So Magneto and Professor X live in that ruined city.
Oh.
Wait, this wasn't the Scarlet Witch who killed all those people?
No, Scarlet Witch didn't kill all those mutants. She just killed the Avengers.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like, and someone killed them all, and Magneto was like, I know who the fuck this was.
So Magneto takes Scarlet Witch to Genosha, we assume to get the aid of Charles Xavier and help repair her mind using his mental abilities. The Avengers, more or less, are destroyed. The remaining Avengers all show up at Avengers Mansion to have like a conversation. And they basically talk about how they really did some good and they were really effective. And the other lame characters from the Avengers who didn't die quit. So like Falcon is like, I'm not gonna be the Falcon anymore. Well, bye! He leaves. Ms. Marvel is like, I don't know if I want to be an Avenger anymore. Later, Captain Britain, she's like, well, this was fun, but I'm going back to England. Alonzi!
People started dying,
Yeah.
and now I'm not as interested anymore.
Exactly. And Tony Stark is like, I got fired from the government, and I can't afford to finance the Avengers, and I can barely afford to save my company. So, not only am I quitting the Avengers, but I can't pay you to be Avengers anymore.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned on the books, there is no more Avengers. Bye. And then Captain America's like, oh.
All my friends.
Yeah.
I woke up from an iceberg, and now they're gone.
Well, a lot happened between that time, but yes. But this is all just a ploy for Bendis to do to the Avengers what Grant Morrison did to the Justice League. Because Bendis went to Marvel and he said, why are the Avengers so lame? Why aren't the Avengers all the cool characters? Why isn't Wolverine an Avenger? Why isn't Spider-Man an Avenger? Why aren't the main characters who sell thousands of books on the Avengers? And they're like, well, Wolverine is an X-Man, and Spider-Man's a loner. And he goes, so? And they're like, well, but we've always done it this way. He goes, well, that's worked out dynamite for you, huh? So then Bendis creates the new Avengers out of the ashes of Avengers Disassembled. And you're kind of left with this feeling of, what's going to happen next? And then this is the springboard for every Marvel event from here for 10 years.
I really like this end where they're toasting everyone.
These are all characters who are dead.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. Except for the Scarlet Witch. I mean, they toast her because they say Wanda, but she's the last one that's mentioned. They're all, like, holding up glasses, and then Carol Danvers, who is Miss Marvel?
She is Ms. Marvel. At that point, she's Warbird.
She holds up and just like, and everyone's naming off characters, and she's like, how about to all of us? Wanda too. And then no one says anything and they drink.
A few pages prior, she'd said, fuck Wanda, I will never forgive her for what she did to us. And they were like, she'd forgive you. She's like, no, she would. I don't care. I don't care if she would.
Right.
I will never forgive her. And then at the end, she's like, all right.
Right.
Like, you know what? Fuck it.